Hello everyone, this is Vicky StitchNButton, and I am back for Flosstube number 80. Today is the 5th of May, and I've got a stack again. I've been doing Ghost Stitch on Semi-Sane, and it's prompted me to do stitching on a lot of different projects. Plus what was the other one I was just doing? I can't even remember what it was called because it was last month. I don't need to remember it anymore, do I? Oh, the Letters of Fortune. Okay, so, if I wrote notes or something. Letters of Fortune, I ended up changing whips and to fit the letters. Now with Ghost Stitch, you can stitch on whatever you want. So it's changed my direction on what I'm stitching and how often, how many. So, Letters of Fortune was basically, they picked a letter, you had to match up the name of your whip, the proper name of your whip, with the letter, or do Ghost Stitch and do 400 stitches. With the Ghost Stitch, and I didn't write down the values, but it's sort of like Hangman or Wheel of Fortune. Letters of Fortune, get it? And so they give you a puzzle. They just give you little underline marks to tell you how many letters are in each word. You guess letters, and depending on which letter it is, it'll give you the value, and if it's right or wrong, you'll get a value, and that value is how many stitches you're going to stitch. No specific whip. You can do it all on the same whip. You can do multiple whips. So, that being said, right before that started, or as it was starting, I guess, I was in a rut, or I don't know, I started going through just cross-stitch magazines. I just felt like going through and seeing if there was something I wanted to kit up or something I've missed from, because I have so many magazines, but I don't stitch a lot of things from them because I have so many charts. So why do I have these magazines and why am I holding on to them? So I went in, and a lot of those are tagged with little flags or post-it notes as to what I liked at the time. So I started going through those, and I was just leafing through, and then it gave me an idea to go look through the ornament ones. In doing that, I also remembered it's easier to print out the PDF version than it is to put it and scan it and copy it on the printer. So I went to my PDFs because I don't know if you know this, but if you get a subscription with just Cross Stitch Magazine, you get you'd have to, it's not set in stone, but I know you get your current issues via PDF if you log into their site. I'm not sure if you can get the previous ones. Anyway, I've had it for so long, I can't even remember. Up to a couple of years ago, and then I just started getting a Halloween one if I liked it, or the ornament issue if I liked it. So I have a lot of them that I had downloaded before I ended my subscription. So I started going through those, and in that I printed out about 20 or so. So I'm not doing Stitch Mania. I'm not doing the Mania thing. I am doing, it's Mania, but spelled the regular way, not May-nia. Pretty much stitching what I want, just arbitrarily stitching on things. At least I was for a couple of days. I do have a few plans going forward. But what I did was I printed out close to 20. I didn't count them all, but I printed out close to 20 different ornaments that I wanted to do. I put them all in this bag, all kitted up. I kitted up 10 of them. And I actually started and finished 3 of them. And I don't think all the ones I printed out to do have pictures on that particular page, so I'm not even going to go through it. But I do have more. And what I also decided to do after I kitted them up, was to pull my box of Etoile from DMC that I got on sale and sprinkle some in here and there as I went around, and you'll see that in one of my finishes I'm about to show you. So when I kitted up, I decided to use scrap linen, and I think I stayed true to that except for one piece, which I had a half yard of a piece of fabric, and I just cut a corner out of it. But the rest was all scraps that I had available in a scrap linen bag, so a lot of them I don't even know what they're called. I know the roundabout count size on them, and that's it. And then I went through, I figured if they're smalls, you definitely have enough in my dead threads to pick out different shades. I did use DMC also on some things where I was just like, I don't feel like looking. So there's that. All right, so I have 3 finishes, which were starts and finishes. The first one I did was this one from Flosstube, and I'll just show you. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's what mine looks like. So what I did was I picked out some 6-strand sweets, and both the white and the blue are both 6-strand sweets. And then I chose crystals, and those are the Swarovski crystals. And I decided nothing needs to go in the corners. This didn't take me, I think 410 is the number of stitches in the whole entire thing, because I had still counting the stitches for things. So that went for Ghost Stitch. And then I moved on to my next one, which is from Ink Circles, and it's called Truly Endless Knot to, the previous one's from Flosstube, and it's just called Snow. And that was from the Christmas Ornament issue 2016. Then this one is Truly Endless Knot 2. This is from Christmas Ornament issue 2015. That's what it's supposed to look like. Now, it's a bad picture. It's kind of light anyway, even in the magazine. But there's some white swirls that go in there, and I didn't do that. And you'll notice all 4 of those are the same color. What I ended up doing is, again, I pulled from my dead threads. I put this on 30 count Lucky Penny from R&R. It was just this tiny piece that I had. And I decided to mix up the colors. I used, what did I use on this one? I used Etoile, but I also ended up using, I think, 6-strand sweets and maybe some from Windy Hill or something like that. But this is what I went with. I outlined the yellow and the red bulbs in the Etoile. And then I put these buttons on there. These buttons I made with clay years ago, and I still have a whole bunch of different clay buttons that I've made. And I just decided to sort of match it up by the colors, because I have blue ones also, but that wouldn't have matched. And I just put, I just put the year. I didn't even put my initials. I just put 21 just so I know when it was. So that one's from Ink Circles. And then my last one I just finished last night. This one I don't have the original picture for. It's called Kissing Cardinals. It's from Designs by Lisa. And it's on a scrap piece of linen. And I want to say it's got to be 32 count. Now, I omitted, there was like a little tray here, but it reminded me of a tray that you'd put bird feed in. And I didn't feel they needed it. And then there's also, this went up higher, and there were snowflakes back stitched in here, which I didn't need the snowflakes either. So I just had this little piece, and I just threw that in, and I thought they were cute. Like I said, the only thing I omitted was the snowflakes and the tray. I didn't think it needed it. Those are all in DMC, and this was out of the Christmas Ornament issue 2014. So that was just the past couple of days. And then I went, and I'll have to show you, because it's on the bottom of a pile, what I worked on last night for May the 4th be with you. I worked on Vader, so I'll show you that in just a bit. Now, let's back up. I was doing the Letters of Fortune, and this one came up twice, so I ended up stitching. This is a Native American angel, and I'll put her picture in here. It is by American School of Needleworks, Barbara Batts, and this is how far I've gotten. Basically, there's Krynic all throughout this wing, so I did a little bit. I think I ended up using Treasure Braid around here because I had that color. I finished her hair parts. I also, let me think. I think I did some of the orange or red in here, but it was only for one prompt. I think it was only for about 200 stitches. So I didn't get tons done, but I did get some, and every bit counts. This is 32 count. Even weave from Fortnite Fabrics called Navajo Treasure. And this Know Your Worth is in my group. It's available in my group if you want the needle minder. Let's see. One bag down. Next, this one. You're not going to see much. I worked a second set of 200 stitches on this. It's Spirited Dragonfly by Heaven Earth Design. The artist is Carol Calaveras. She recently passed away last year. I do believe it was just last year. This was gifted to me from somebody on Virtual Stitchers. Her name is Linda. And I started this last year or the year before. I don't remember now. Oh, I have it written down. Look at that. 8/9/19. So in August. And I didn't work on it much last year, but I did get a couple hundred stitches in on it. Some more white over here, guys. Can you sort of see it? Maybe if I do this. There you go. And there's some spots in there because there's not white in there also. And I think what I need to do, so I can feel like I got some progress on it, is possibly start moving down. And it's just easy to count when you need a quick 200 stitches. Boom, done. These squares are, I don't know, this is called something different than the easy grid. Maybe it's easy count, I don't know, but it is 25 count. And these are 20 by 20 blocks. So you're going to get 400 stitches in one big block. So that's all I got done on that one. And this is my needle minder that was sent to me from Stitching with a Dotson. She sent that to me. She knows I like my dragonflies. Alright, let's put this away. Gunner's thirsty. And, alright. Next, I ended up doing at least 2 prompts with this for the Letters of Fortune, and that is the Dragon and the Fairy. Oh, I know what I did. I thought the letter F was called, and I thought this was Fairy and Dragon. After I looked, I realized it was Dragon and Fairy, so I went and put an extra 200 stitches in and called it a Ghost Stitch. And it is on fabric, Flare Fabric. It's from September 2020 from the My Fabric Party monthly. So I don't know when it's going to be available. It's called Electric Wisps. So what I worked on was filling in the rest of this wing and some of the white and gray coming down. And a little bit over here. The wing's coming in pretty decent. A lot of filling. I think the holes that I left there are for beads. I'm almost positive they're for beads, so that's why they're sitting there. All open. All exposed. This was gifted to me from Belinda, Aussie Stitcher, along with the needle minder. Oh, and by the way, this is a Joan Elliott, and I know it's still available because it was just recently purchased. And Sorry, trying to get this in there. I think she got it from Joan Elliott's site. Oh my goodness. Okay, there we go. Next, I actually pulled this out. I haven't worked on it forever, and mostly because when you're counting stitches, you don't want to count back stitches. And then I had a revelation also. This one is called Let's Do Coffee. Oh, there's a sticker on the back. I'm doing that with Be Seated. It's called B-E-S-E-E-D-E-D. Be Seated. It's silk from Vicki Clayton, and I think she's handdyedfibers.com, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think she's selling again. I don't know if you can get this particular thread, but if you can, it's not. I like working with her silks. And I'm also stitching it on her fabric. So these letters up here, they're cross stitches plus quarter stitches, tons of them. And when you're doing so many quarter stitches in a row, like 6 to 8, it's hard to do the count. And I was having a hard time with it, and it made, every time I looked at it, I was like, no, I don't want to stitch on it anymore. So as I pulled it out, I was like, okay, let's bite the bullet, get some stitches in on this, and see where we go with it. I started on one of the letters, and then it dawned on me, let's just do 1/1 instead of a quarter stitch, right? And that helped a lot. It was easier to count. This is 36 count. I didn't pull down my board. So 36 count on fabric, linen from Vicki Clayton. I don't think she sells the linen anymore. But what I ended up doing was filling in a little bit more of this and finishing the A and starting that letter, which is an N for Kona. I only needed 200 stitches, so that's what it got. Oh, I also did Uchino. I remember now. So it's better than nothing because I hadn't worked on it in about a year. It needed to be worked on. It needs to get done. Once I get the mojo on it, it'll go faster. I know it. And now that I'm doing the 1/1, I think it'll also go faster. Alright, next. I ended up working on this twice, and I don't know if it was in the past 2 weeks or once this time and once from the last video, but it's Garden Prelude. From Mirabilia. I am not stitching the arches or the flowers, so I'm just stitching her. And I am stitching her on Northern Lights fabric from Fabric Flare. That's what it looks like. And I started down in the corner to make sure she was sitting where she needed to on the fabric. So this is how far I got. I decided I wanted to try to get the back part of the dress done, and that's what I worked on. I think I only did 400 stitches on it. So I worked on the back of the dress, started moving up. I just want to get that done so I can move over from this edge and start getting some of this over here done, because I'm still curious as to how, make sure that I got it exactly where I needed it. The fabric is wide enough for her. It's plenty wide, but I didn't have too much to play with from top to bottom, although she'll still fit fine, but I could only position her a little bit here and there for that. So she's coming along. She's popping off that fabric pretty decent, and I'm happy with that. Let's see. Next, I did 200 stitches or 400? 200, I think. And this is Grapes Pillow. I started this in 2019 also. And I forget, Just Cross Stitch Magazine, February 2000. I just taped the picture on there. This was picked, I had a vote on my Facebook for my next pillow after I finished Lemons, Limes, and More. And this is from Donna Vermilion Giampa, Vermilion Stitchery. What I ended up doing on this one is filling in the purpley grapes here, the lighter purple grapes there, and doing some of this green. There are blends in this, so... But, oh, that's another thing I did while I was stitching on it, because I had everything on that piece of Ada with the squares, which works fine. But now that I have a whole bunch of these, I decided to go ahead and put all the threads onto the cards. I'm finding I prefer that over most, because they're right there. They're easy to get to. This is on white Monaco, 28 count white Monaco. I actually had that written down. You don't really need a crazy fabric with that because it's almost totally full coverage. So white is actually better than not. And next, I had to put 200 stitches in Olivia Oakerleaf, the letter O was called. So it was either that or One Nation. So I decided to mark, I think Laurel picked her over One Nation. And this is Silver Creek Samplers. This is still available, I'm sure. And that is how you spell Oakerleaf, in case you were wondering. Ochreleiph. I want to show you the partial pattern. But there she is. She's pretty. She's being done in a multitude of colors. A couple of the called for. And then some matchups between Victoria Motto and Gast and Weeks of Dye Works. So I'm making it work with what I had on hand. And this is on 36 count Kale from Vicki Clayton. Basically what I did on her was I did the bird. I think I did the bird. And then I realized I'm off by a half a stitch. So I'm going to have to take the hand, this all out, the bird, and then move that correctly. So I finished there. I didn't want to have to frog extra, and I do believe I started doing some lettering, and I filled in some leaves to go across, and a couple of leaves down here, just to get in the 200 stitches. There are also a bunch of dot stitches like this all over it, and you can barely see it anyway. I don't think I'm going to do the rest of the dots. I think I'm just going to do the leaves that go in between and call that a day, because it's just too fiddly to paint the rear end. And it's not making a huge difference either way. Sometimes I just think people put dots in just for the sake of having a stitch there. And I'm fine with it being open, so there's that. All right. What else did I work on? There's still more, but wait, there's more. I worked on my mini Space Traveler. I told you before I cut it off here, about maybe about there. On Pattern Keeper, that's about what I'm going to get done on it. I mean, it's pretty, but I really don't want to stitch all that. Which means I'll have extra of this fabric, but that's fine too. I ended up filling in, what did I do on this? I did blue. I did some blue, and then I came over here and I started filling in more blue in here. And I think I even did a couple stitches over here, because it was only 200 stitches, so you can barely see the progress on it. But they're there. They're there. That's also available in my group if you need a TARDIS. I I think I have a couple of those left. Let's see. Next. 3 for Tea. I ended up working on this twice in last month. I think it was for 200 stitches a piece. 3 for Tea by Mirabilia. This was gifted to me from Belinda. And I'm basically working green. Lots of green. And it is on a piece of Fabric of the Month from myfabricparty.com. They're calling it Allure, A-L-L-U-R-E. It's 32 count. No, it's not Allure. It's, they've got 2 names on it. It's Floral Thoughts. I don't know why he's got that other thing on there. Floral Thoughts. And this is where I'm at with the girls. What I ended up doing here. What I ended up doing was moving the Q-snap down and just continuing with the green and white. It was easy to count off of it, so that's what I decided to do. If you notice, that is still white, but because of the yellow behind it, so it almost makes it transparent. And it's something you need to, if you decide you're going to do fabric flare fabrics, you need to decide whether you're okay with some of the lighter colors having to expose some of the background, or whether you want that or not. Otherwise, you'd have to do a piece that had mostly darks so it doesn't show through, unless you use a lot more. I couldn't imagine using 3 threads instead of 2. This is 2 over 2. So I'm using the called for DMC. This is that needle minder that I got from Rebel Stitcher, and it says no mistakes, just happy accidents. And for Bob Ross, because it's in my Bob Ross bag, so I figured why not. Alright. I got to work on One Nation again. I think I did it for 400 stitches as a ghost stitch, because I didn't have one of the letters. This is One Nation from By Garden Stitches. Has all 50 states in the order that they were added to the Union. I am stitching mine on Creekbed Brown. Again, I can never remember if it's R&R or Lakeside unless it's written down, so we can go with that. And this is what it looks like. Oops. No, that's what I look like. This is what it looks like so far. I did Pennsylvania in gold because that's where I was born and raised. I saw that somebody else do that years ago, and I was like, yep, that's what I want to do when I get there. So, what I ended up working on were flowers. I added flowers. Stars, same def. The Quaker stars. I put in, I don't know, about 4 or 5, I guess it was 4 stars. Yeah, because I had to do 400 stitches, so I put in 4 stars, and then I added the centers to a few stars to get the extra stitches to make it 400. This is the Kamala needle minder that I got from Rebel Stitcher. I figured might as well get all the states in there, put her on there too. Put the VP on the flag. Yeah, the blue is already done, so I got some stars in there, and I put some of the blue centers in, some of the stars I already had done, and I'm happy with that. And I'll fit it into something soon, again, because I'm getting close. Getting close. Plus, I promised this chart to a friend of mine when I'm done. She has stuff to stitch. She's not worried about it. She's not waiting on me, for sure. Okay. Alright. So, last night, after I finished that ornament, because I had to get the stitches in for Ghost Stitch, I wanted to finish the ornament so I can move on to my next project to finish off the 650 stitches that I was called to do. After that, I made a guess and I got it wrong. So what I need to do now is put in 200. I want to say it's 200 stitches for a wrong guess, which is fine. And I think since I only put about 77 stitches in on this one, which is Vader, and the designer is Stitch Area or Stitch Area, I don't go with it. Stitch Area is easier to spell. It's all one word. It's on Etsy. Call it what you want. Used to be Stitch Line. It's not anymore. But this is on there. I know I have the link in Virtual Stitcher. Somebody asked for it. But this is Vader, and I saw Minty Stitcher stitch it on this, and then after about a year of me seeing on Instagram, I decided I needed to buy it. So I did. Anyway, I also had a revelation, or I would have got more stitches in. It'll go into Pattern Keeper. So I did that, and I had to sit there and fill in all the stuff that I had already stitched in order for Pattern Keeper to know where I was at, so I can find more stuff to stitch. I'm stitching this on 36 count fabric. It's the same fabric that I did Nevermore, and I still had enough to do another decent sized project on, and I love the color. This is from Vicki Clayton, the fabric, and that's how far I've gotten. So basically what I did was I put in all my stitches on Pattern Keeper, which took a little bit, and I just added in some of the blue and gray over here for like 77 stitches to finish up that last prompt. And I'll go in and do the 200 stitches at least to get something in on this besides that measly 77 stitches. Maybe I'll fill in that. It's all in DMC. There's only 5 colors in the whole thing, so it's not that hard. I did realize when I was marking it off, I messed up over here, and it's pretty much where this is seated, but it'll be fine. It's going to be fine in here, so I'm okay with that. So that's on the agenda for tonight. And then my other plans. I don't have any haul. Surprise. I am waiting on my monthly fabric from Fortnite. That should be here in the next day or two. And what's this? Oh, okay. So I was trying to think of a game plan and get some kind of decent stitching in on some stuff and something that's fast to stitch. And I was talking with Laurel. We do these late night talks and plans on virtual sometimes. So I told her what my thoughts were, and I gave her options, and then we decided that for the rest of my prompts, after I do this 200 on Vader, that I'm going to see how far I can get on this one. This is LA Geek on Etsy. Let me see if she doesn't have the link on here. Anyway, if you just do LA Geek without the period, no spaces, I'm almost positive you'll be able to find it. Or if you just type in Quixote Picasso, that'll come up on Etsy also. This, I wanted to stitch it after I saw it, and because it's got nostalgia for my mom, she had sheets that had this image on there and pillowcases and stuff. I thought it was cool. So when I saw it, I waited and then decided to go ahead and pull the trigger and buy it. It's only like $7 or $8. I'm doing it all in the 310 black, and I started this October 25th, and apparently it's hashtag Picasso sale, because there were a couple other people that were doing Picasso ones. I think J-Long actually finished hers, and hers was Imagine. I thought the John Lennon sketch face that looked like a Picasso. I am stitching this on 32 count Hermosa from PTP. that's where how far I've gotten so far. I haven't stitched on it in a while, so we'll see how far I get. I mean, this is his shield back here on his back, and he's pretty scrawny. And so is his horse. So it's not a ton of stitching, obviously. It'll be easy because it's all one color, so there's no color changes. And this is on Pattern Keeper. It works in Pattern Keeper, so I'm good with that. It helps me count. And that will be after I put 200 in Vader. I also had a plan, because I ended up not finishing all the letters on the Go Stitch. Letters of Fortune. I was going to do this one next. Okay, so somebody told me that this was pronounced Skazi, but my Norwegian friend Rita Marie said it's Skadi. Either way, no matter how you pronounce it, every time I type that word in, stadium gets auto-corrected in. So we call her Stadium because autocorrect. And when I started her, I got a measly 200 stitches in. So I haven't put her away. I had her prepped to start stitching at least 200 stitches on it, and I never did. So I still have her on the Q-snap because I feel like I probably should give her a little bit more of a corner or something. She's so neglected. She was only worked on like once, so she needs a little bit of attention. Most goddesses do, don't they? So I'm not sure when I'll stitch on it. Hopefully I'll do it in the next couple of weeks. So those are plans. Side note, I have not been sewing much for the past week, and I need to get these bags done. I know people are waiting and people want to see the new stuff, and I get it, and I'm sorry, but life, guys, life. I wasn't feeling real energetic. I was sort of feeling blah. Nothing serious. I mean, I just wasn't into it. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't stitching much. I was just sort of meh. And I'm getting back in the swing of things. I told you I was trying to figure out a different way to do my vinyl, because using the sticky stuff was gumming up my machine. We are looking into, actually, it's not because, okay, back up. Back. I figured out a better way to stitch the vinyl and the zippers and stuff, and without using the sticky tape. But even so, that being said, I am still in the market for a new sewing machine. Frank yelled at me. He's like, you need to buy a sewing machine. This is for work, you know. And I agree with him. I deal with what I have. I have this cheap old $95 Singer sewing machine, and it bounces across the table when I use it, and I hate it. Then I have my old sewing machine, which I now have to totally clean out again and get it all. I probably have to replace the needle on it and all that stuff, get it all re-greased and everything, and hope it starts working again now that I figured out how to not use the sticky stuff. Maybe because I'd rather sew with that. It's heavier, it's better. I'm sure you've heard it more than once. The old stuff was built to last, and this was. Problem is, it doesn't have a zigzag, and I'm not so. I would like my stitches a little bit further apart, a little bit longer, and I've changed. I don't think it's adjusting the way I want it to be. So I think I just need to bite the bullet and get a new sewing machine. I'm not quite sure which one to get. I can't afford a $1,500 sewing machine, an $1,800 sewing machine. It's just not it's not in the cards for me. So I'm looking for something better than the $95 sewing machine, but something that's not gonna like put me in a poorhouse or something like that. If anybody has suggestions on a good machine that doesn't bounce across I don't need I don't want it to bounce across the table, but I also don't need 500,000 different stitches. Honestly, 99%, 100% of the time, I use a straight stitch or a zigzag when I'm stitching. And with the bags, it's always a straight stitch. So anything outside of that, I really don't need it. And I have an overlock machine. I haven't pulled it out in forever because it's in there and I don't have the space. And I'm too lazy to take it out, use it, put it back. So I just don't. But if anybody has any suggestions for a decent machine that doesn't cost an arm and a leg, I am put it in the comments below. I would appreciate any input and your thoughts on what is what, or what to stay away from even. I mean, some of that's when choosing a machine, if somebody tells you, well, stay away from this, that, and that, and the reason for it, then that's also helpful, even if you don't know the exact one that you think I should get. If you know one that I shouldn't get, I'd also appreciate that. What else? I did order, finally, some new needle minders coming in. It's going to be a few weeks. I haven't done needle minders in a while. I have so many of the ones I already stock that I sort of got burnt out on buying more because you run out of space. Eventually, I think I want to do maybe a live online sale, whether it be here on Flosstube, which I don't know if I want to do that, or maybe I'll just do a live in my group on Facebook or on Instagram, one or the other. I think doing it on Facebook might be a little bit easier for me because the Instagram, everything's backwards and a pain in the rear end and it's slow. But if you have any preference as to if you want to see needle minders that I want to get rid of and selling at a discount for a live sale, put that in. Maybe I'll make a poll, like what day would be best and time and platform. So I do answer everything, all my comments, even if I just heart it, it's because I read it. If I don't have anything genius to say, I usually won't say anything. It doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the comment. It's just that sometimes you just read and keep on scrolling because you're in the middle of doing something, that too. So I do appreciate all of you, and come back in a couple weeks. Hopefully I have some bags done. Actually, I have technically about 5 bags done, but I have to do the pulls for them. But maybe I'll have the bags done and put those up there in the group. Cross your fingers. I'd like to get that done within the next couple of weeks. And hopefully I'll get some more stitching in. That's the plan. That is the plan. My person for the giveaway did get in touch with me, and that was sent out. And I've been toying with maybe another giveaway in the near future. I always put stuff to the side on what I want to do and when I want to do it. I did reach actually 1,500 subscribers in the past 2 weeks. But as soon as you say that, somebody goes and unsubscribes on purpose. I swear they do. It's because that happened when I hit 1,000 and I said something and then it went down by 3. Whatever. It's not a big deal. So I might even just do a giveaway for that. Maybe for the next show. Let me see where I'm at mentally. You know how it is. Anyway, I hope everyone is doing well. Gunner as well. My shoulder is getting better, and I got a massage yesterday, and I'm still sore from the massage. I know I should feel better, but when you have knots the way I do, they have to press and push and pull, and I feel looser, but my skin still sort of like don't touch there. All right, enough babbling. I hope to see you. Well, I'm not going to technically see you. I hope you see me in a couple of weeks. Don't forget, don't let anybody steal your sunshine. Bye.